45 achievements and 60 hours worth of grinding and collecting will turn any average man away. However, I am no average man. I had to achieve nothing but perfection. So you might be asking me, what's the plan? Well, there was no plan. Luckily, the devs were nice enough to allow us to do everything in a single playthrough, which is incredible. However, there are 4 achievements that kind of make it hard for us, but I'll explain more later. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's get going. After finishing the tutorial, I had to pick a house. Being a basic Hogwarts student I am, I picked Gryffindor, which grants me my first achievement, the sort who makes an entrance. With the ceremony behind me and officially becoming a student, I headed off speaking to a few of my fellow students. After, I headed to my first class. To be honest, with a few tips of my wand, I was able to obtain my first spell, win my first duel, and obtain a new friend, Sebastian Swallow, who we need to keep an eye on. However, soon after, I finished the class and get the achievement, First Class Student. With a bit of downtime after my first class, I head off with the new friend Nati. Heading to Hogsmeade, I ran around grabbing my wand and a little bit of a butterbeer, if you may say. However, during my visit, a troll attacks, which I defeat of course with some of my ancient magic, gaining the achievement Troll with the Punches.
Goodness, a second troll. Did you two take on a fully...
After that freak attack with the troll, I headed back to class. Soon after, I broke into the Forbidden Library section with Sebastian, finding an ancient cavern related to the story. However, I was ambushed by stone knights. I was attacked, but I used ancient magic for the first time, defending myself, granting me the achievement, A Keen Sense of Spell. Being the OG, through the flick of my wand, I stumbled upon these giant knights who just wanted to rip me a new hole. So being fast on my feet and giving them that 1-2 incendio punch, I got a combo score of over 100 hits, gained the achievement Raising Expectations. After running through the ancient cavern and fighting a ton of awful bugs, I got to a room called the Mat Chamber, which we meet a few key people, them being old professors from Hogwarts. After speaking to one of them, I unlocked the achievement, the Gryffindor in the Graveyard. However, this room will come back to haunt me. After grabbing some collectibles, which there are a lot of, I got a quest to follow some butterflies in the Forbidden Forest. Making my way, I run into some butterflies, which lead me to a chest, in which the achievement pops followed the butterflies. There are a ton of butterflies, I think about 15, and I need to collect each one of them to gain another achievement. Finding myself completing a broomstick race, I leveled up and realized I had 12 talent points. Talent points are basic skill upgrades. After a bender of dropping all 12 skill upgrades, an achievement pops, a talent for spending. Finishing up with some outside homework, I meet with Professor Fig in the Mat Chamber, which I am introduced to Professor Bookwood. After a brief talk with the professor and a mention of keeping up with my studies, an achievement pops, that's a keeper. Running around Hogwarts, I snatched a few field guide pages, which I will talk more about later. I grabbed one more field guide, maxing out a tier in a challenge. Soon after, an achievement pops, called Challenge Accepted. Being a busy bee, I've just been trying to do everything I can, from, collecting chests and, finding field guides. It's been a busy time with these achievements grinding. And so now I need to go be a botanist for a second, grab a mandrake, and go deafen some of these enemies' ears. Which I did to a few spiders who decided to step up on me. And I said, not today. And an achievement pop called The Root of the Problem. Getting access to the room requirement gave me a few different things. First off, I can plant things and also brew potions, which I did. I brew a lot of potions. I actually brew all of them, which made me feel like a really Breaking Bad chemist. And so after brewing my last potion, I got the achievement going through the potions. Being a really nosy student, I was able to travel around Hogwarts. I was able to unlock a bunch of new rooms with field guides and items. However, I was able to get to the headmaster's quarters, which is kind of weird because you have to land on some steps in a weird way. I was here too early, but hey, we're here. However, after skulking around, checking all the rooms, I went into one, which achievement pops, a room with a view. I don't know about you guys, but this next achievement's super weird. You gotta find a cow and levitate him up in the sky and make him do a couple flips in the air. It's super weird. But however, doing that about 5 times grants me the achievement Spilt Milk. This next achievement is no joke. I believe it was created just to drive you mad, especially since it requires you to hit every single type of enemy within the game with ancient magic. And believe me, there's a lot. Hey, and you might think, that sounds so easy. However, this was a slog to get through. I had to find a list of all the enemies, cross them off each time I hit them with ancient magic. And let me tell you, it was not easy. It was so painful and it just drove me off the wall. However, I persevered and I unlocked the achievement finishing touches. I am no botanist, but in Hogwarts Legacy, they want you to be. And it's actually pretty interesting and really fun, especially since everything's so magical and very fun, you know? And so, with the room requirement, and me after doing some renovations, I was able to plant all the remaining plants, which took me a second because there's a couple different species and I had to find the seeds for them, which was kind of tough. But after planting the last plant, I unlocked the achievement Put Down Roots. After finishing up with my plants and getting them all situated, I was given a loom from enchanting clothing. After some deliberation, I decided to enchant a piece of clothing, granting me the achievement Loom for Improvement. In Hogwarts Legacy, you have 2 ways to attack your enemy. 1 is to go full force and go head on. 2, hide from the shadows and sneakily play with the idiots, which I decided to do, and after a while, I petrified my last enemy, which gave me the achievement The End of Petrified Means. Sometime after, I come across a fellow student named Poppy, who tells me there is a poacher's den just beyond the hill, and we must take it down. With my artful skills and absolutely manly persona, Poppy and I make it inside, coming across a hulking dragon that is looking at me like I'm a stuffed pig. Taking out the enemies and demolishing the base, I got the achievement, the Defender of Dragons, which for some reason the notification didn't pop, but I got it. I guess from all my travels and defeating murderous poachers, I have been in tune with my inner wizard, because after attending one of my last spell classes, I gained a new spell, Transfiguration, which granted me the achievement, the Spellmaster. Taking on the headmaster's appearance, and finding out that the last trial I need is in his quarters, I headed there, straight there, trying to figure out what I need to do. I ended up getting stuck into a story within a book, which had me grabbing the 3 Deathly Hallows, the Cloak of Invisibility, the Elder One, and the Resurrection Stone. Meanwhile, being a little cocky student, I ended up beating death. Soon after, I completed the trial, and I headed back to the Mad Chamber, which unlocked the achievement, the Hollowed Hero. Literally doing almost everything in the Highlands and absolutely just crushing all these achievements, it was time for some new scenery. After completing a story mission and just absolutely destroying all these goblins, having them shaking in their boots, I walked out and saw across a new land and an achievement popping, coasting along. Merlin Trials drove me up the wall. If you like puzzles, Merlin Trials are probably going to be your favorite thing in Hogwarts Legacy. I personally felt there was way too many of them. Way too many of them. They usually just consist of pushing a boulder down a hill, or destroying objects, or mainly just flipping boxes, or blocks to call them, to match a pattern. These Merlin Trials drove me to a point of madness. I was about to go insane, but after a while, I was just continuing doing them and finishing them up. I ended up getting every single one, which is crazy because there's a ton of them. But at the end, it granted me the achievement, Merlin's Beard. Fast travel has been around in all games, and Hogwarts Legacy is just the same thing. There's just points in the game that allow you to fast travel to that point after discovering it. I kind of like to think about it like in Assassin's Creed with the Eagle Points, or Legend of Zelda with the shrines and stuff like that. So after a while of grabbing all these flu flames that are sometimes out of my way, I got the achievement Flew Around the World. Hogwarts Legacy, it has no shame whatsoever when it comes to collecting. Like these statues called demi-guys. There's these ugly little statues shaped of owls with giant eyes, which is kind of creepy but actually kind of cool. So we are tasked to go find a bunch of these around the world in a bunch of different cities or towns, whatever you want to call them, or villages. Finding a bunch of them which isn't too hard, but it requires you to unlock a bunch of locks. It's just a whole process, and it was just crazy, but it was really fun, especially since like I feel like they're placed in such great places, and they're kind of like hard to find, which is kind of fun. But however, I grabbed the last statue with the achievement popping Demi-Geist Dread. I didn't have very much fun with the Loom of Enchanting. Personally, upgrading systems are just not my thing. I hate reading. Personally, I can't really read stats because I'm lazy and I just don't have the time to sit there and be like, oh, I gotta max out damage or I gotta max out my defense. It's just something I'm not into, and maybe because I'm just like, I want to get done fast. I feel like if I had more time, I would probably sit down and look at what I had, but in this case, I didn't. So I just ended up maxing out a piece of clothing 3 times, which granted me the achievement 3rd times the charm. I was given the quest to go save a phoenix, and let me tell you, it was kind of a nightmare, but it wasn't too bad. I was trying to deal with almost every single type of enemy I could deal with, like poachers and spiders, which was just an absolute nightmare, especially because like I'm really bad and I'm not great at games, so I'm over here just flicking them around, throwing them around, using the ancient magic, trying to survive. However, making it through this giant cave system and slowly but surely making it to the peak of the mountain, I find the phoenix, which I scoop up with my bag, getting the achievement Rising from the Ashes. At this point, I'm about 50 hours into Hogwarts, doing almost every single thing I can and get my hands onto. However, there's a bunch of different things like quests, side objectives, and stuff like that really require a lot of my attention. However, there's one thing I really do like, it's Imelda's broomstick races. Basically, all I gotta do is race around the map and try to beat her score in a certain amount of time, which isn't too bad. I actually did this all in one go. I actually never failed a single one, which is kind of crazy for me, but yeah. However, after doing the last race, I got the achievement Flight the Good Flight.
I should let Mr. Weeks know that this was his best upgrade yet.
I ended up completing every single side quest within Hogwarts Legacy, and let me tell you, it was a hell of a ride. I actually enjoyed a lot of it. In most games, you end up doing all these side objectives, usually end up being the same thing over and over again. However, Hogwarts Legacy does a great job at making you feel for these characters that you're helping, or just doing random objectives for these side people who ask for your help. Personally, my favorite was Sebastian and Poppy's storylines. Those are really fun and energetic, which I just fell in love with these characters, which made me really feel bad for them the times when they were struggling and stuff like that. So, at the end of it, after helping this last painting out, I ended up getting the achievement The Good Samaritan. In Hogwarts Legacy, we are given these type of dungeons called charm dungeons, which are basically dungeons, I guess. I'm not entirely sure how to explain them, rather than them just being this giant cavern that you can explore and usually end up finding really good loot in. However, most of these caverns or charm dungeons are locked behind story progressive missions, which isn't too bad. It was just kind of frustrating that I couldn't go through them sooner, but it is what it is. However, entering the last charm dungeon, I got the achievement The Interpret Explorer. With almost every main story objective, there is a pensive that I must stick my head in to get a piece of a memory. A pensive is just a bowl with water in it, I think. However, after completing one of the final missions that deals with taking down a hulking beast, a grapehorn, running through the coast, plowing through enemies, I dunk my head into a bowl, getting the achievement The One Who Mastered Memories. Soon after completing the quest, another achievement pops, grappling with a grapehorn. So with the room of requirement, I'm given the responsibility to save beasts from poachers, capturing them and putting them in the giant open pen. In Hogwarts, you can breed beasts and get unique variants like shinies. There are 12 beasts that need to be bred, and it's a pain because half the time I keep thinking it's glitched. However, after putting the beast to work, I got the achievement The Nature of Beast. For the time being, I decided to put myself through the challenge of the battle arenas. There are 2 arenas that need to be completed to gain the achievement. Spiders, goblins, poachers, and ashrunners want to rip me a new hole. However, I pulled a W, giving it to the battle arena, and gaining the achievement Rise to the Challenge. Before heading off to the last main mission, I decided to clean up a few more story arcs for the friends I made along the way. One being Poppy, a student I followed helping beasts like dragons. After speaking with her and saying congrats, I got the achievement Beast of Friends. After finishing with Poppy, I make my way to Nati. She tells me that she found Hollow, a terrible villain that we need to take down. With the long, drawn-out battle and just a pain of damaged sponge enemies, I defeated Hollow. Soon after, I spoke to Nati, and with that, I got the achievement, The Avenging Gazelle. We have started the last mission, and this mission was a doozy. Finding out the last repository of magic was under Hogwarts, I had to go down there and fight Ragnarok. Was nuts. It was a giant battle, super cool, and I had a lot of fun with it. So after a while of slapping around some goblins, taking them on, I meet with Ragnarok, which we duke it out. However, beating Ragnarok and the death of Professor Fig, everything goes back to normal. And soon after, we get the achievement, the Hero of Hogwarts. I loved Sebastian Swallow's storyline. It was fantastic, it was just engaging, and it was just sad what happens at the end with him actually using the death curse on his uncle, who was just trying to protect his younger sister from Sebastian's madness. However, Sebastian gets taken to the Ministry of Magic and he is put on trial for what he did. But after that, we get an achievement, a Swallow Grave. With Hogwarts coming to an end, I decided to clean up a few more achievements, one of them being hitting the max level 40, which granted me the achievement, a Forte for Achievement. For the past 60 hours, I have been grinding the quests, side quests, and pretty much every single collectible I can get. And after finishing up the story, I got the last challenge that grants me the last piece of clothing, which unlocks the achievement Collector's Edition. After reaching level 40, it was time to burn through the rest of the talent points. Not really caring, I spent my last talent point, which unlocked the achievement Savvy Spender. With the game now officially coming to a close, we are honored by seeing who can win the House Cup, which there's a chance for any house to win, but however, being the badass student I was, Gryffindor won the House Cup, which granted the achievement the Seeker of Knowledge. I mentioned previously that the Mat Chamber will come back to haunt me, which it does. Now I have to take each character from a different house and make it to the Mat Chamber, which I do. I personally felt this was kind of annoying, only because not every single character has the same way to reach the Mat Chamber. It's each of them have different ways to get there, which is kind of weird, but I did it, which I unlocked the achievements, the Wise Owl, the Tour's Apprentice, and the Toast of the Town. After 60 hours of gameplay, I just have 3 words to say: pain, love, and beautiful. Hogwarts Legacy is a blast, and I have to say it's an experience worth experiencing. There are times where I felt bored, but with every door open, a new experience I had. If you have the time and the patience of a collecting monster, this is a game not to sleep on. I hope you all have a great night or day. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you still enjoy these videos, because I've been having a lot of fun doing them. Take care.